Well, when the interest rates were lifted today, lifted from the emergency low levels they've been at for a year and a half, lifted as they were always going to be lifted, of course, lifted by 0.25% by 0.25%. It was always going to be a bit of a gift for the Labor Party in this election campaign because there's no avoiding it. This will keep a lid on inflation, sure. It'll also keep housing more affordable in the future. But in the short term, it'll cost homeowners more, a little more. But it couldn't be the Labor leader who went out and spoke about this today because just 3 weeks ago, he didn't even know what the cash rate was. So they sent out the Shadow Treasurer.
This is a full-blown cost of living crisis on Scott Morrison's watch, and now interest rate rises are about to be part of the pain.
Wow, that sort of rhetoric is just way over the top, isn't it? By the way, I think Albo's back in the office learning the new number, 0.35, 0.35. Remember that one, Albo. You're bound to be asked about it tomorrow. But there's no politician in the country, of course, who's going to speak the truth on this. No politician can afford to play down cost of living pressures because it's always seized upon as an outrage. Now, this rate rise is going to cost people, of course, and some people who have overburdened themselves with debt or fallen upon difficult times might be tested. That's always the way of the world. But to say it's either the government's fault or is a heavy blow to households is just untrue. It's just completely alarmist. And of course, it underestimates the intelligence of voters who know what's going on here. Australians know that interest rates have been at almost zero because we've been dealing with the economic turmoil of a pandemic. They have to go back to something approaching normal. It's actually good news. It shows our economy is recovering and we need to get back to normal. So this is a tiny increase, obviously necessary. In fact, it should have happened a couple of months ago in the view of many much more experienced economists than me. But much of the media and Labor, of course, are now whipping up a frenzy like this is the late 1980s or early 1990s under Paul Keating as Treasurer when Labor were in government and interest rates were going up a full percentage point at a time. And we were paying mortgage rates of 15, 16, 17%. I, for one, never forget that time, how tough that was. And look, every family budget is tight and every mortgage approval, of course, judges that people can absorb much more than a 0.25% extra payment on their mortgages. There's usually a full 3 percentage points. So 12 of these increases factored into people's ability to pay by the banks before they approve a loan. So the big question here is not about the Reserve Bank's effort to return interest rates to normal and control inflation. The big question is whether bringing economic management front and centre in the election campaign hurts the government or helps it. The Prime Minister joined his Treasurer after the announcement today and he was asked if this decision would cost him the election.
Of course not. What today is about is what Australians are seeing as a result of our economy coming out of this pandemic. The suggestion that somehow the Reserve Bank ending emergency level monetary policy support to the economy because our economy is growing, growth forecasts have been upgraded, unemployment is falling further, wages are increasing. These are the things that Australians want to see in their economy.
Yeah, he's right. In my view, a bit too maudlin and defensive about this. This is actually Australia getting back to normal. We don't want border closures, lockdowns, JobKeeper, emergency interest rates going on forever. We want to get back to normal. And this is a very sensible step on the path back to normality when it comes to monetary policy. Now, we'll see how people deal with all of this, how the reaction is across the country. The banks, no doubt, will move mortgage rates very quickly, and we'll see exactly what this does to people's monthly mortgage repayments. But if rates are headed up over coming years, as they undoubtedly are, probably up to 2.5% or 3%, still historically low, mind you, very low historically, even if they get to that level, people are going to face then a crucial question at this election campaign. Do voters want the economy managed by a would-be Labor Prime Minister who doesn't even know the cash rate, or the unemployment rate for that matter, and his would-be Treasurer who helped Wayne Swan run 6 budgets? Or would voters prefer to stick with the government, the current Treasurer and the current Prime Minister? That's a fundamental question. Voters have got 18 days to work it all out.